Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our very handcrafted session. No AI generated, almost. So my name is Dmitry. You?
My name is, the slides?
Oh, yeah.
My name is Stefano.
Yeah, so today we will guide you into the world of AI, into the ChatGPT, how we can connect together ChatGPT, OpenAI, all these magical words with a Business Central. And today you will probably learn about VS Code, Copilot, X. Then we will move to ChatGPT and Azure OpenAI and into the world of prompt engineering. You saw some slides and demos during the keynote and also during the Copilot session today. We will do a more deeper technical dive into how you can do all this stuff. Then we will do some introduction how you can embed a chat in a Business Central, then guide you into the magical word means embeddings. What does it mean? And then Stefano will also show you another part of the story, so how you can use external tools like a .NET and semantic kernel to chat with your data. But to start, I was thinking how to start that and what demos to prepare. And we, as developers and as users, we all want some free time and focus on what really matters. But in a Business Central and in a VS Code, there are still some areas that are very difficult that we need to learn how the things works. And sometimes we use them rarely, so we always go to Google and search how the things works one time to time. Stefano, do you have such areas in a Business Central?
Yes, sometimes I need to search in Google, for example, for handling serials and lots. For me, it's not a comfortable way. And speaking about the developer's perspective, for me, it's always sometimes difficult to remember, for example, the date formula. It's something that sometimes I need to check the Google documentation in order to create complex formula or something like that.
Yeah, for me especially, I found myself that for me it's very difficult to schedule job queues because there are so many things to remember, like object IDs, the recurrence type is difficult, then there is date formula as well, that is too complicated. And I thought, and you know, I got some idea how we can make things much easier. And I got inspiration. Do you know where I got inspiration?
Yes, I think it's good because scheduling job queue sometimes is tricky. So if there are some tools that can help, I think it could be interesting for everyone.
Yeah, so I actually agree. So I actually got the inspiration from my wife because my wife, she's super good as task scheduling. She can just tell me, hey, go to get our kids from school, and on the way to school, go to the grocery and take some fruits. And that works, you know. And I actually asked ChatGPT, I was interested, what other like general wife do task scheduling for general husband? And he told, darling, tomorrow morning, could you drop dry cleaning? Hey, honey, I have a doctor appointment, do some stuff. I love the last one. Hey, Superman, tomorrow is our anniversary. Could you plan a surprise date night? And actually, if you think about that, ChatGPT was trained on the public data from the internet. So it means that there is some secret place in the internet where our wives has access, where they learn how to schedule tasks for us. And I thought maybe we can do something in a Business Central. So I just built some prototype, and today we will go through the process of building the chat inside of Business Central, and with a just natural, not voice today, but natural language typing, we will ask Business Central to schedule job queues for us.
Yes, that's nice. And I always want my users to be able to use a tool like this in order to be smart and schedule tasks and interact with data quickly. And can we combine both?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with a Copilot X, GitHub Copilot X, because so we want our users to be happy with the Business Central, but we want like the developers to be happy in a VS Code. So the Copilot X, let me see, let me go here first. So the Copilot X is actually an extension which is called Copilot Nightly in a VS Code that you should sign up, and then it will give you, you will sign up here, and it will give you some nice features inside of VS Code. So let me zoom that a little bit. So the first feature is this chat. You saw that in keynote today. So what we can do, I will just copy some. So what we can do, we can ask to generate table with the endpoint and the secret key, for example. You see now it generating something not very AL related. Okay, so but you can give him a point. For example, you are AL developer. Not really well. Let's try. Okay, AL. Come on.
Obviously.
Come on. Okay, maybe try not generate in
a YAL table.
In AL language.
Nada. you have forced.
Yeah, okay, let's do another way. I love that. So we created an AL.
We have cracked ChatGPT. Oh.
Okay. So we will just paste it here. We do some cleaning. We don't need that. And I think this should be text. So you saw this during the keynote. What you actually didn't see during the keynote is another feature. I'll just that as well. So we are now inside of the object, let's say, and there is a magic combination of buttons, which is on Mac is a Command I, and in Windows it's Alt I, which actually means AI. So we'll add two procedures to return endpoint and a key. And we get that. That's simple. Right, so we will create in a page in a very natural way. Okay, so we now have a table and a page. And let me so what we also prepared, let me return to the slides. So with the GitHub Copilot X, once again, you need to sign up. It will give you the features like embedded chat and one more feature that I will show in a minute. And then we created a control add-in. Actually, we created it without ChatGPT. So this is the control add-in that we prepared. It consists of actually two fields. The one field to input, and the message from the user, and then the history, and then the response from the AI. So very HTML built inside. And
you can do better than us for sure, because we are not focused on the CSS or something like that.
Yeah, so now we have this setup table and control add-in. What we need to do is we need to add the Azure OpenAI integration for that.
Yes, Azure OpenAI, and you mean ChatGPT, but there's a difference between Azure OpenAI and OpenAI? Yeah,
that's a very good question. You probably hear like a ChatGPT, OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, what's the difference between them? And actually I want to a little bit talk about where we're now in AI field. So the artificial intelligence, I actually used this slide in 2 years or more here on the BC TechDays, and we actually were here. So there is artificial intelligence, like a general area of investigations about what machine can do, what machines cannot do, with the same human capabilities. Then there is a machine learning, so it's techniques to train the machines on the data. Then there is a deep learning. It's a kind of algorithms inside of machine learning area, so it's special algorithms how to train your data. That were the state for 3 years ago. And now we actually have these generative networks. And this generative networks is a one step further, but is inside of deep learning. So it's a type of deep learning algorithms. And inside of generative networks, there is a GPT. So the GPT is only one model that became very popular, but still there are a huge amount of other models that we can utilize and that are very open source. So it's not only GPT, okay? So there are any other models. And like Azure OpenAI, so the OpenAI is actually a company that built ChatGPT. The Azure OpenAI is a service inside of the Microsoft Azure. The Microsoft partnered with OpenAI, so the Microsoft store the model, provide the API requests, and so on. There are also some differences between OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. So the common things is that the models itself are the same, because the Microsoft actually provides the APIs to the model that were developed by the OpenAI company. However, on top of that, Microsoft add its infrastructure, security capabilities, and also content filtering. That's the main differences between the APIs from the OpenAI and the API from the Azure OpenAI. How to get access? Also, there is a difference between OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. With the OpenAI, you can get access immediately. Just you need to sign up on their web page. Azure OpenAI, you need to go to the wait list. And there are actually two wait lists. The first one is to get access to the Azure OpenAI itself. And then, if you want to get access to the GPT-4, which is the latest model, you should also sign up for another waitlist.
So you are saying that I can deploy my own ChatGPT bot inside my Azure account?
Yeah, sure. You can just try.
Oh, let me try. To do that, you can simply go into your Azure portal. Obviously, as Dmitry said, you need to have the Azure OpenAI service enabled. And inside the Azure OpenAI, when you have the Azure OpenAI service, you can create an Azure OpenAI instance. It's very easy. Just click, create an instance. And here you can see the first big difference compared to Azure, compared to the standard OpenAI features. It's Azure in this way. You can specify the region. You can specify a resource group, so group resources Azure, and you can specify a pricing tier. Pricing tier is actually is only one, but in the future you will have more than one pricing tier. The main difference is that you can specify the region. So as you can see in my portal, you can have more than one instance of Azure OpenAI service deployed on different regions, for example. Later I will explain why. And inside an Azure OpenAI instance, I previously created this. You can manage your deployments, your models. And by clicking on model deployments, you are redirected to what is called the Azure OpenAI Studio. And inside Azure OpenAI Studio, you can create and deploy your model instances. You can have different model instances also for the same model. When Azure OpenAI Studio starts, from here, you can deploy the model, you can test your model, you can play with your models, writing some prompts, see how your model responds. And deploying a model is very easy. Just click Create Deployment, and you can select one of the available models inside your subscription. So it depends on what models. Some models are available at the moment only on US. Others no, are available in everyone. Like in this case, I deployed an instance on West Europe. You simply select a model, for example, the GPT Turbo, and you can specify the deployment name. If in your subscription you have yet deployed this model or bypass the quota that you have available on the subscription, a message appears saying that you need to request more quotas on the subscription. When you have deployed your models, you can have, as said, different instances of your model, and you can see here that your different models have different capacity, and later we explain and we show how you can handle that.
Okay, so you deploy the model. I have the table and the control DIN. Now we can write our code to call the Azure OpenAI.
Yes, we can do that, but how you can do that in the AI language? Do you have you know what code unit is there in Business Central, or
no, I know. I saw in the today session that we have a Copilot already in Business Central, so it means that there should be a code unit.
Yes, but if I don't remember the name of this code unit, so I think that we can use to do that a tool that someone developed. This tool can help us because we can, for example, ask something like what type of code unit we can have. For example, is there a code unit for Azure OpenAI in Business Central? Something like that. We open this is in code focus mode, so Central Q should give us some answers about the code.
I probably know someone who developed that.
Yes, probably. And oh yes, the code unit is called Azure AI Usage, and there's this ID. So I think probably you can work on this.
Yeah. So and we can even click here and go directly to the system app. Okay, so what we're going to do, I think we cannot use that because the access is internal. But yeah, the thing is that Microsoft showed today that there is a copy of that available on another repo. So, but they didn't notify me about that, so I will just follow my demo. So what we're going to do, we can just copy some parts from that, I guess. So we will do here. Okay. So there is a code unit, and I think we need So I think we need probably this function. And we need a send completion request. And a send request. So just copy that. And let's do some cleaning. We'll just delete some parts, yeah, and we have actually our own settings that we created. Let's just do it very simple. We don't need that. We don't need that. And we created these guys. So get endpoint. And it was also a get secret key, okay, that we created before. Delete that. We don't need that. So actually, when Microsoft prepared for the session yesterday, for the keynote, I think they did more or less the same at night. Yeah, we can just follow that. Just delete that. We don't need many things here. payload. Oh, yeah, good. Okay, so more or less fine. So what I want to show you here, it's another feature in Copilot X. So what we actually did now, I am just on the stage of the BC TechDays, cloned the code. And that was the code that I didn't wrote, so I can just go through code and understand how it works. But what we can do, actually, here we have explain things. So on the right side, we have a code, and here we have like explain this code thing. And everything here, we can just read that, and yeah, that seems. We even have some improvements recommendations here. You know what? I also don't.
Yes, I don't understand why there's this /n.
Yeah,
the
so
part. Why is needed?
I don't understand that as well. So maybe we can ask. So what we can do, we can just select that, and then Copilot explain this. Oh, so it's some kind of, when we got back some response from the OpenAI, it do some cleaning of that response. Okay, good. Also, you know what? So this is the playground that you showed. But we also have this show code. And so there are actually two endpoints with a GPT calling thing. The first one is the completions here. So the completions is what you saw during the keynote. And the completions is the model, the endpoint that uses with a BC Copilot. But we want to do a chat. And the chat uses another endpoint. Well, the endpoint is the same, but the parameters that you paste into the call different. Instead of the prompt, we should paste messages here. Okay, and here you see we paste a prompt. So what we can do, we can just change the messages, and then we can do something like that. Get messages. It also should be user input. We should provide that in the beginning. And what we actually can do, we can ask. Just copy that. Alt-A once again. So please create a JSON array in the next format. And it creates actually a procedure, so we just need to get messages. Right, so now we have we can do some cleaning here, but we now have a JSON array that we put into the messages. The other thing, if you switch to the messages, you should also replace the output, because the output from the response from the OpenAI is a bit different if you use the messages. So actually, you just need to go here and just replace with a choice messages content. So, and you are good to go.
But I have two questions on this. First, what is a prompt? I not totally understood. And the second, if you get a response from OpenAI, how do we create a job queue task from that?
That's a very good question, my friend. So now we're diving into another part of our session about the prompt engineering. So the prompt is actually a text used to generate a response from the language model. So think about the prompt as some kind of instructions that you give to intern that you have with you. So intern will do the work for you based on your instructions. And there are some techniques that will make your prompt as good as possible. The first, you should set a model into some role. So usually now it's an industry standard. You start your prompt with a you are. So you are a teacher, you are a psychologist, you are AL developer, you are an API, or so on. Then do some instructions at the beginning. Continue with some additional context. I will show you how to do that. Then provide some examples about the input and about the outcome. And you know, they're always difficult to try to find a balance between short instructions and long instructions, because you cannot put as long instructions as you would want. There is also the documentation from Microsoft. You can follow this link. There are many examples of how you can structure your prompts. So, and for our task, our good prompt structure will look like this. So we give in the beginning some instructions. We put into the context that you are Dynamics 365 Business Central Job Queue Scheduling API. You must only return information from the context that we will provide. Then we will provide some instructions about the input and the output. We will provide the output format, provide the context text, examples, and once again, we say that answer in this format. The thing is that always try to one more time say about the output format at the end, because the large language models, if you put much information into the prompt and you will tell about your output at the beginning, they can just forget about that when they read down to your text. So let's go here. So this is actually the OpenAI playground. I will copy-paste some things here. So here we can play. As a user who use our app in a Business Central, they probably want to schedule a job queue in a natural language way, like this. Update analysis views every morning before working hours on the working days. However, we are not given to the AI any prompt how to do that. So AI responds, so as an AI language model, I cannot schedule tasks. So we need to provide some system prompt for that. Let's try from a simple one. You are Business Central Job Queue Scheduling API. So now we put the model into the context of Business Central. So it tried to respond in a way how to schedule the job queues. So it's more like a helper for the user. But we don't want a helper. We actually want to schedule the job queues automatically. So actually put the temperature to 0, just not to be very creative in that, and increase the maximum length of the output. What we can do, we can add more things to our prompt. So here I describe that you will provide a request in the natural language about how to schedule a job queue. So I telling him about what would be the inputs. And here I tell that you must always return results in a predefined JSON format. Do you know why I'm doing that?
I think because we need a structured JSON response in order to be able to call the APIs.
Not exactly to call the APIs. So the thing is, when you receive a response from the OpenAI model, you as a developer expect to receive a response in some structured JSON format that you can just parse this JSON format and do some action in a Business Central that we're actually going to do. So if we do like this, so now we see that, well, our response have some JSON, but also we have some comments in the beginning, so still not very structured. So we can continue improve like this. Don't include any comments. How it doesn't include any comments? So now we have a JSON response that we can at least somehow parse in AL. But if you look into the content of that, actually it's not something that we can use in a Business Central to schedule the job queues. So we need to actually teach the OpenAI how the job scheduling works in a Business Central. And how we can do that? Yeah, so actually there's one more thing that I forgot to show. So this, the output is not very structured JSON. So we can do like this and specify which JSON format we expect from the model to have. So now we have a structured output, but you see this a next run date formula is today, and it's not something that Business Central can understand. Also run on Thursdays comes together with a next run date formula. That will not work in a Business Central. So we need to add more context to that. And what I did, I actually searched with the central queue, and it gave me some links to the blogs about how job scheduling works. So actually 2 blogs, this describing the job scheduling, and also another blog describing the date formula. So what I actually did, Let me go to the this one. So what I did here, the same beginning, then the context part, then I just paste here the information from the blog, and then I just paste here the information from the second blog. Okay? And I saved some placeholder for the examples, and we will add examples in a couple of minutes. And let's see if that getting better. So now we have like a better result. Let's see with another request how it works. Run the code unit 3 to 5 on the last Friday of current month at 16. Yeah, now to use the correct seems run date formula. And maybe try another one. So what I see here, which will not work with the Business Central, it uses the next date formula together with run on Fridays. In a job queue scheduling, we can't use that together. So I will add some limitations into the prompt. I'll just copy that. So I add these like limitations. So once again, this is like instructions to the model. First, don't generate object type, object number. If you don't know, then generate AI comment, politely say, I don't know. It's not allowed to set next run date formula and other fields together. Like other things. Also, I ask him describe your steps to get the result into the AI comment field. I will use this field to show into the chat window, into the Business Central. Let's see how that works. So we see now we have like AI comment first field in the JSON respond, describing how he got into the result, and also it splitted this request into the 2 job queues instead of 1, because we had limitations, we can't use that together. Okay? The other thing which is also useful to add is these examples. So I will copy that once again. The examples are good because that will give you more reliability on the output of the model. So it's the same prompt, but I added these examples. Request and response. So for example, if the user asks run every Tuesday, AI command, sorry, I can't schedule, you didn't provide object type, object number. Then like another request and the response that I'm assuming it should be, and the one more. So if I will do, I think it's the same one. Oh yeah, you see that I created 2 separate job queue entries. That's good boy or girl. So if we go to the Business Central now, so oh yeah, I forgot to show you the code. Where is that? Yeah. So I prepared this code to parse so to create a job queues, actually what I do, so I call here. So I send this to the user request to the Azure implementation code unit that we created. This code unit actually will send the prompt that we created into the playground. Actually, what I'm using, I store this prompt into the blob storage. So I take the prompt, send this prompt to the Azure OpenAI. Then I get the AI comment, and then I create a job queues. So, and to create a job queue, actually that's a normal parsing of a JSON that I expect, because I instructed the model about the JSON format that I expect to get, and here I get this, parse this JSON. So you see that that's all the fields that we instructed, and here I just insert the job queue. So here is my Business Central with this Copilot chat, and let's see if it works. Run consolidation report every Friday in the evening and at the end of the month at 8 p.m. Yeah, and we have our job queue scheduled. So here we have this AI command that we actually expected. And here we have 2 job queues. Run on Fridays at 6 p.m. and this at the end of the month. So that works.
Yes, that looks fantastic. So if I understood correctly, you tell me that if I can, for example, take all the Business Central documentation into that chat, you can directly do, I can ask anything.
Oh, you know, the magic has some limitations. Because if I will go here into our examples, and let's say I will just copy paste that and provide more examples, and I will submit it once again, you see the model maximum contact length is 4,000 tokens. We can't actually add more contents there. So we have these prompt limits. Depending on the model we use, they're different, but still they exist. We use here the GPT 3.5, which has 4,000 tokens limit. Recently, OpenAI announced a new 3.5 model with a 16,000 tokens. That's 16,000 tokens. It's about 90 PDF pages file. So it's a lot, but still have limitations. And the GPT-4 has 1,000 tokens and also 32,000 tokens. But depending on the token size, you pay more. Also, the latency will be worse or better. And you should remember that these tokens limitations not only for the input, they are together for the input and the output. So you should take that in mind as well. But what is a token actually? And the token is a small unit of text that is used to represent a word or part of the world. So when the large language models were trained on the internet data, they actually split a sentence into the words into the parts of the words. So in these parts of the words, it's tokens. So approximately one token is about 4 characters. And and how we can add more knowledge to that? The thing is, the answer is embeddings. And to show you what embeddings are, actually I prepared a little bit another demo. So let's close that. So this is a little bit of Python code. What it does, actually, I created a chat that answers questions about the BC TechDays. So if we run this chat, so okay, great to be here. I think let's just copy that. So is there any session about ChatGPT? I'm sorry, I don't know. So this chat uses embedding vector database to store the knowledge about the BC TechDays. Now the storage is empty, so it doesn't know anything about BC TechDays. And the storage actually is a cloud vector database, and I will just talk a minute about what is a vectors. So I just want to show you that this is a superbase.com service. This is a cloud vector storage database. It's empty now. So actually before we lived in a world of keyword search. The keyword search means that when you search something in Google, it indexed the website before and it searched for the same word and gives you results. Semantic search works a bit other way. So when you search for the king, it also, the word king is very related to the word man, like the queen is very related to the word woman. So London is related to England, and it builds this map of a relationship between words. How it do that? So actually it converts words into the vectors of numbers. And technically, when you ask for the ChatGPT something, it first converts your input to the numbers, then search for the similar vector with the similar numbers in this mapping, global mapping, and then provide you a response. So it's, and also the vector databases, actually, they have a list of these vectors with the different dimensions. And the number of dimensions for the OpenAI models is 1,532, I guess. And that's actually the columns, and the rows are the individual chunks of text converted to the vectors. So to show you that, what we're going to do now, we will actually take the BC TechDays event website. We will load that into the chunk of text, and we will split this chunk of text and save it into our vector database. So we will just run that. It will take some time. So if we will look into the BC TechDays website, it's actually very complicated. It has some speakers. We have information about sessions. We have information about Antwerp, how to get here. Many difficult stuff here. Let's see. So it took like 15 seconds to get to scrape the website and convert everything to vectors and store into our database. So if we go here and update, we will see that we will have how many of them? I think about 211 vectors. So we have here the chunk of text, and we have here the embeddings. So the idea behind that is when the user will ask for something, it will go to this vector database, search for by the semantic search, the knowledge that actually answers the user question, then take this chunk of text, put that into the prompt, and the large language model can answer based on this information. So we don't need to put all the information to the prompt, how we did before. We can just take the part of the knowledge that relates to the question of the user. And so if we, let's say, go here and ask once again, yeah, there is our session here. Let's do other type of questions. How to get to the conference? So now go to our vector database, find information related to the question, and put that into the prompt, and large language model compatible to answer on that question. Okay, like that. How to get to the conference for free? Oh, I didn't know that. For every 5 full conference tickets, there is 1 more free ticket. Good. What beer is the best here? I don't know. You don't know? The point is
not
that...
Good, not good.
Not good, yeah. The point is there is no such information there on the website about that. So I thought maybe you can help to add more knowledge to this database. So can you just scan this nice QR code generated by AI
and write your response.
Yeah, so there is a simple form you can just fill, providing some life hack. Can you scan that?
Huh?
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
yes, someone no.
Yeah. Sometimes it. Actually, I have a backup with the normal.
Okay. Oh, I think it's enough. Otherwise. Someone scanned just to receive some answers.
Yeah. Let's see. I have this. Oh, we have 44 responses. Okay, we can just take this. So we can just, what we're going to do, we'll open that in a Excel. Where is my... So this is the Excel. I will just grab it here. I need to rename it a little bit, so it will be not without spaces. And what we're going to do next, we'll use this Excel to convert that into the vector database. So we will just run this. And of course that doesn't work. Share life hacks. Okay, so wrong name. Should be like this. Okay. No. Document is empty. Why it's empty?
It's the right file? Yes.
Come on, it should work. I tested that before. Okay, sorry, I think. Excel. Okay, that should work. I'm not sure why.
I cannot see it.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I think we missed that. But yeah, you got the idea that we can just convert that into the vector database and ask some questions.
Okay, I take this.
Maybe while you're preparing, continue our session.
No, you should share the slides.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I will not do that.
No. Okay. So In this first part, we saw all the main things related about AI, and especially using not AI in a simple way, but using AI in a more complex way, how we should use AI in an enterprise perspective. And I'm absolutely not a guru of machine learning. I don't come from this world. And when I embrace the AI world, sorry, but this, why is not? Okay. I learned something embracing AI. The first lesson that I learned is that AI could be expensive and unpredictable if not well used. So you should learn how to use AI correctly. The first things that I learned is that AI is not only ChatGPT, but it's much more than ChatGPT. AI can be used with your own data, not generally speaking, asking questions and receiving general answers. What I would like to have with AI is using my own data and chatting with my own data and receiving my own response. I also learned that AI is not only Python. When we talk about AI, when we search things about AI, we see tons of Pythons, but I'm personally not coming from the Python world. And what I would like to do is using AI without using Python, because I'm not a Python expert. And the other things that normally I learned is that to replace developers, customers need to describe what they want. As Dmitry said before, if you don't describe correctly what you want, AI gives a response that are not the right response that you want. So probably devs will have a long future again, because it's difficult to do that. And I also learned another thing, that the most common pattern that we have in AI is this. So if you have shit in, you have shit out, because AI needs to work. You need to give a good prompt, and if you want to give a good response. Without a good prompt and without a good data, you don't have a good response. So that's a part that you need to remember, and the quality of data reflects the quality of the output response that you have. So if you have good data and you want to chat with data, you have a good response. So what I would like to show now is that other tools that permit you to do more complex things with AI. The first tool that I want to present is the Azure OpenAI on your data features. Its features released 2 days ago. It's actually in public preview and permits you to chat with your data in just few clicks. If Dmitry can please switch, okay. To do that is very easy. Previously we saw that I have created deployed a model. So, my mouse is not working, okay. Something like that. I have deployed different models. In particular mode, I create this model using GPT 3.5. And if you create this model and you deploy the model and then you open the playground, now you have the possibility to add your data from 2 days ago, or probably not on every subscription now. It's deployed step by step. But you can add your data in a preview. And this is quite a powerful feature, because it permits you to add a data source, and a data source can be on different types of data sources. Mainly in our speaking about Business Central, I think that important is that you have the Azure Blob Storage data source. And when you select the Azure Blob Storage, you can specify an Azure Blob Storage instance where you have your data, like this. And you need to specify and activate an Azure Cognitive Service instance. Simply just click on the button and create the Azure Cognitive Service instance. This is needed in order to automatically index the data that you give in input to your model. So I'm selecting my instance, and I'm selecting a container where I have placed the data, the CSV data, and I can create an index. Now I give a random name, like something like that. This is the index that the engine will crawl my data, creates the index, the vector database, and then I can start chatting. When I have deployed that, I can simply click OK and deploy. It works on my data. I don't do that because it takes some time. But when you have deployed that, you can also deploy this. You can chat with your data from here. But the interesting part is that you can deploy this as a web application. And when you have deployed this as a web application, you have something like that. It's a web app running on Azure, where you can also give user permissions and something like that. And in here, you can, accordingly to the data that you have given in output, in my sample here, I've given sales data. So I exported from Business Central periodically the sales data, sales lines, sales headers, and so on. And with this app, automatically created by Azure, I've done nothing in code now. I can write things like, I don't know, can you list the sales revenue for customer grouped by month? I don't know, something like that. And the users can chat with the data. It works. This is, I repeat that this is a public preview, actually not available for everyone. It's not extremely stable, so give that the time to work. As you can see, performances are not extremely powerful, especially if you have a lot of data. But it permits you to chat with your data directly without doing nothing. There are limitations on that at the moment. You can only use from this web app. I hope that it will respond now. Okay, give me some data. Normally, it's much more performant, but it's give me some data. So I'm not to work on the data. These are the data coming from Business Central. I do nothing. I've done nothing, and I can type every type of query. What is the, I don't know, the top sold item in the last month? Something like that. And queries, I can chat in this way without doing. If it's not able to recognize because you don't have data is responding wrongly. So it's a first approach without doing nothing to chat with your own data. But what I would like to do is something more. So this tool is absolutely new. I honestly not use that in real-world projects at the moment because it's a starting point. You can test with your customer, but it's not production ready, in my opinion. I would like something to have something production ready, and to have something production ready. In my when I start embracing AI, I have two goals in my mind. The first is this: I want to something for my users from Business Central to chat with their business data. And the first goal was to give my user the possibility to, for example, embed external documents or something like that they have inside the corporate, and permitting them to chat with these documents without searching for files or something like that. So what I would like to do is something like this. We showed before that we have totally created a control D inside Business Central. And in this control D that you can place everywhere, I place it into the Sales Manager Role Center, for example. I can go here and do the same question as before. So, for example, what is the top sold item in the last month? I don't see what I write because there are. And the request is sent to Azure OpenAI, and I should receive a response. So I'm a sales manager. To do that, I need to, I don't know, execute some reports, or I need to go into the sales statistics. I don't. In this way, it's quicker. I'm chatting, and it's responding me that the top sold items is a conference bundle, and so on. That is one of my items that I have in this Business Central environment. But I can also do something more complex, like I don't know. For example, can you create a table with I don't know, the sales revenue for customer, and request again is sent to Business Central, and if the prompt is good, obviously you should write something that has a sense. Is giving the response in the table format. So I have here a table for customer, for sales, and it's much more than executing. So I've never executed a report. To do that in Business Central in a standard way, you need to do sales statistic or something like that. Here I'm chatting with data. So what's there under the hood of that? Previously, and also this morning, we saw that in Business Central there's a code unit for using with Azure OpenAI. This code unit is actually internal, but we probably open to everyone in the next future. I've not used this code unit because there are lots of limits. Later I will talk about that. So what I used, Dmitry, if you can please go into the slides quickly. What I've used is something external. Later I will explain the reasons. So one of the tools available that you have today is the Azure OpenAI SDK for .NET. It's a library currently in beta that permits you to have a wrapper inside Azure OpenAI, over Azure OpenAI. It can connect to Azure OpenAI, but also to the standard OpenAI libraries. Remember that it's a pre-release, so you need to, in order to see that from tools like Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, you need to add the pre-release check, otherwise you don't see that. With this tool, you can create something more powerful. So in my case, again, sorry for the switch. In my case, I'm creating
self-service.
An Azure function. If someone don't know what Azure functions are, throws the end. Tomorrow there's a session. But okay, I create an Azure function. In this Azure function, I'm using the Azure OpenAI SDK. So I'm starting as a library. And here I've done exactly the same thing as explained as before from Dmitry. So what this Azure function has done is simply reading my question. And I also passing, in this case, the index of data that I want to read from my database, vector database. And I'm calling a prompt. So given the following data, reading from the blob storage, from the vector database, I'm calling my Azure OpenAI SDK. So I'm creating a completion by passing the name of my model and some parameters required by the model. Some was previously explained. Important is the temperature parameter. The temperature parameter is normally a parameter between 0 and 2. And higher temperature means that the model will take more risks to give you the answer. So it depends. If you want the model to do random things, turn up the temperature. If you want the model to strictly see the data that you want, take the temperature lower. Why I use this, the Azure function and not the Business Central code unit? Because, sorry, again.
I can do that.
Okay. Because there are some problems. One of the problems is this, the Azure OpenAI service quota limits. And the first problem that when I put this into productions, the first problem that I have is what I've written in bold in the bottom of the slides. the rate limit is totally different if you create a request to have a description for an item. Probably if you have, I don't know, 100 of users in your Business Central, in the worst case, you can have 100 of requests that are maybe solved during the same time. Because imagining that every user creates 100 of users in the same, all items in the same times, you have that number of requests. But if you start using a chat with data, so if you integrate a chat inside your Business Central and every user can chat with the data, requests are a lot, could be a lot. And the first problem is that with the code unit, you cannot scale. The standard code unit, you simply can specify the model and sending prompt, and you cannot scale. Sorry, I'm not able to use what I do in production is something like that, and what happens with external tools like the Azure OpenAI SDK and the Azure function is that I can scale. I can create more instances of the Azure OpenAI instance. I can have a single endpoint where, accordingly to the number of requests, I can redirect the request to my Azure function. And this permits me to avoid the token limit, because if I have 1,000 users, I can redirect this request to every. The other tool that, sorry, before this other tool, if Dmitry can again switch, I want to quickly show this. This is a web app using the same tool as before, but in this case, first we quickly show the web app. This is the web app. In this case, I'm also indexing PDF files, and this permits me to embed AI also in the entire documentation that a company has. So I can, for example, I leave the web app easy in order to understand. I can create an index in my vector database called TechDays. TechDays. Create an index. The index is created into my vector database. And then I can, here I can chat with my data. And if I select this index, so if I work on the TechDays index and I ask, for example, how many license types Business Central have? Send a request, he said no, because I create an index on my vector database, but the index is empty. If I do something like that, so I select my index, TechDays, and I select a file like the Business Central Licenses Guide. This tool is crawling, is uploading the Business Central Licenses Guide. Then it's extracting the content of the Business Central Licenses Guide. Obviously, the PDF should be well done, and then the PDF files is completed. And this is the standard Microsoft Licenses Guide, so not my. So just to show is the standard Business Central Licenses Guide that you can download from the partner side. Now, if I go again with the chat and I reselect my index and I do the same question, how many license types Business Central have? Now I should have a response. It's saying me that Business Central has this type of licenses, and it's also providing me a link. You can also do other. There's only a question that the AI cannot respond, and in this case, what team members can do. Also, AI doesn't know what team members can do, but if I search, for example, what types of permissions can the team member license. No, I have the team member license, for example. Yes, member license. No rush. It should give me an answer. So team member is not able, but if I write something, the problem is in the PDF. Microsoft PDF has a table with dots inside the permissions, and dots when you crawl the PDF are not well done. So, but some answers in the PDF files are retrieved. So that is just to say that we can also embed files.
Yeah. So while you was talking, I just figured out what was the problem with the Excel file. There was some extra lines, so I just took your responses, also embed them, and now we have the most important question here. What the beer is the best here? We have an answer.
Okay, conclusion and...
Yeah, so to conclude this, some actions you take to make your apps AI powered. So register on the Azure OpenAI or OpenAI, then learn how prompts work, experiment with prompts in the playgrounds, and think what scenarios you can embed in your extensions. And maybe one day will come from this, maybe through this, into something like this. So thank you very much.
We have a time for questions, I think.
Yeah, we have questions. Yeah,
first microphone.
Hi. I just want a simple thing. To use the Copilot to allow me to program faster. Is it free? Can I try it out? You know?
Copilot requires. The Copilot requires a license with the GitHub account, so you need to have a GitHub Pro account. Copilot Chat is actually in preview, so you need the insider preview version of Visual Studio Code, otherwise it's not installable. It's installable instead on the standard version of Visual Studio, the standard version of Visual Studio, so not Visual Studio Code. Here you can install Copilot Chat on the Visual Studio Code, but it requires a Pro account. Hop.
So okay, I have a question. Could you give some, maybe pointers, what to add to the Copilot prompt for it to better understand AI language?
So for the AI language, so in my experience, I started with Copilot a year ago. For the AI language, it was bad, but then since more AI developers started using that, at least me and AJ, so we figure out that it becomes better. So my recommendation will be just start using that, just activate that, so you can it will learn from what you're typing. And if you are in inside of AL file, it will learn better how from the code that you already have. And also a little secret that it also use to prediction not only the active file that you open, but also 2 or 3 files that are open in another tabs, and also 2 or 3 files that you opened before. So you have this context of the thing you're working on right now, and it will give you better recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Last
last
question.
question, please.
When you say that you're using this in production for chatting with your data, are you able to upload the data incrementally to these files, and what are the limitations? Because if you try to ask something for like a sales analysis and so on, it could be a lot of data there, and you have to refresh it from time to time.
Yeah.
So are you able to upload it incrementally?
Yeah, so it's up to you how you are going to increment the data. For example, for the central queue service that I built, I index all the data once per day, and add more data there. So, but I have like a separate script for that, so that is running. That I take the data and put it in the vector database. So.
Is there any limit, like 1 gigabyte, like the amount of data that you can use for your own?
No, if you use a vector database,
No, I don't know. I don't know the such limits.
You don't have a limitation on the data that you can index. Normally, for example, in the business center data scenario, I use the blob storage as a index to take the file and then store the file into a vector database. In the blob storage, I don't know if you know that there's an extension that the BC to ADLS extension that permits you to export data from Business Central to blob storage via the Azure Data Lake features. This creates delta files for files that you want to, for example, you have modified the file that you have modified from last day, and you can crawl that file into your vectors. And it permits you to create your indexes incrementally, and then you can. But it requires a vector database. If you don't have a vector database, it's difficult to have a large amount of data, to chat with a large amount of data. Okay. That's why the IL language enough at the moment.
Stefano, I know you're an Italian guy. You can speak.
Thank you very much.
But we are asked to finish. But thank you very much for coming here. And if you have any questions, like you can ask us, locally.